play tour guide too.
Yes. I'm all in one, your driver, your tour guide. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sandria, and I want to welcome you aboard on behalf of NASA, National Aeronautical Space Administration. On this tour today, I will be taking you directly to the Apollo Saturn V Centers. Along the way, we will pass the vehicle assembly building, and I do have some videos to show you to tell you a little more about Kennedy Space Center. Also, we are located on the Merritt Island Wildlife Refuge, so do keep an eye out on the roadsides, especially the waterways. You may see some wildlife, maybe an alligator or two. Also, I'm your safari guide too when I see them. I haven't been out here yet this morning, so we'll see who's out and where's they at.
Ignition sequence start. I'm going to step off the limb now. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We have pondered our place amongst the stars since the dawn of humankind. We've looked to the stars with wonder and amazement, their glow guiding our travel for centuries. The more we learn about our universe, the more questions we have.
I'm Emily Calandrelli, and today you'll be following me behind the gates on this exclusive bus tour of Kennedy Space Center. Our journey will take us past active facilities and end at the visitor complex's own Apollo Saturn V Center.
But before we begin this journey, just like every NASA mission, our #1 goal is to return home safely. So always stay seated while the bus is in motion. Please, no food or drinks on the bus with the exception of water. Please keep conversation to a minimum so others may hear and enjoy the tour. No photography is permitted at the security gates, but there will be plenty of photo opportunities during the tour.
This rocket that you'll see standing tall in front of KSU's badging station is the Mercury Redstone rocket. It represents NASA's earliest efforts to send humans into space. These Redstone rockets were formerly ballistic missiles provided to NASA by the U.S. Army. In October of 1958, NASA formally organized Project Mercury with a mission to investigate man's reaction to this new environment and safely recover the capsule and its pilot. Man rating for human spaceflight on what was previously a ballistic missile was no easy task. After several modifications and test flights, a Mercury capsule carrying Ham, a chimpanzee, was successfully launched and recovered on January 31st, 1961. Just months later, on May 5th, astronaut Alan Shepard launched on a Mercury Redstone rocket, becoming the first American in space.
Hi, I'm Janet Petro, and welcome to NASA's John F. Kennedy Space Center, where NASA astronauts have ventured forth on flights of exploration since the 1960s. And what an exciting time to visit our multi-user spaceport. Through our Commercial Crew program, we are sending astronauts to the International Space Station from American soil for the first time since the Space Shuttle program ended in 2011. We're continuing to launch new research experiments and supplies to the space station with our commercial resupply services and launching the most technologically advanced scientific instruments to date into space through our launch services program. This all culminates in our ultimate mission, the Artemis program, where NASA will return to the moon, this time with the first woman and first person of color, and continue on to Mars. In all our history, there's been one common theme woven throughout our DNA. It's our insatiable desire to explore beyond our home planet in our never-ending quest to expand our knowledge of the universe. As you venture behind the gates, you'll find a community of the most talented, dedicated, motivated workforce anywhere in the world who believe in the unlimited potential of space exploration. This is an active spaceport where new things are happening every day. You never know what you might see, So enjoy your tour.
You are now approaching the Vehicle Assembly Building, or as
Ladies and gentlemen, I always like to point out these buildings down here on your left as we go by this street. Just take a look down there. That is SpaceX's Hangar X. That's where they refurbished the Falcon 9 boosters at, which is the stage 1 of the Falcon 9 rocket. Sometimes they'll pull one out of the building or they'll bring one back. So I always tell people when you come back, take a look down there and see if they moved anything out.
NASA calls it the VAB. It is one of the largest buildings in the world by volume, and is the place where NASA completes the final assembly of its rockets before launch. The sheer scale of this building is hard to grasp, even when you're right next to it.
Do you ever feel really small when you think about space? What about when you're standing next to a skyscraper or a really big bridge? Well, I feel about as small as an ant right now. I'm standing inside the Vehicle Assembly Building trying to grasp how large it really is in here. It has 4 bays. Each bay has 2 large horizontal doors below it and 7 smaller vertically opening doors above it, tall enough to fit the world's largest rocket through. In fact, these are the largest doors in the world.
Construction of the VAB required 65,000 cubic yards of concrete, 45,000 steel beams, 1 million steel bolts, amounting to almost 100,000 tons of steel. Notice the flag painted on the outside of the VAB? It's the size of a 21-story building. The blue section alone is the size of an NBA basketball court. Each star is 6 feet across, and each red and white stripe is wide enough for this bus to drive down. And the entire VAB? It's so huge that the Roman Colosseum would fit on the roof with room to spare for a parking lot. By volume, the VAB can fit 3.5 Empire State Buildings, and it would take 250 billion ping pong balls to fill it. It was built in the 1960s for the Apollo program. Every Saturn V rocket that sent humans to the moon was assembled right here. Every space shuttle mission also assembled within these same walls. After the space shuttle program, a major renovation to the inside of this building began to accommodate NASA's next generation of rockets, the Space Launch System, or SLS. Lockheed Martin has developed a capsule called Orion that will sit atop the SLS rocket. This capsule is designed to facilitate human exploration of the moon and eventually Mars.
Take a look at the 4-story building with the slanted windows as we drive through this area. This is the Launch Control Center, where launch directors and their teams oversee every rocket that lifts off from KSC and gives the final go or no-go. I'm inside the LCC with Charlie Blackwell-Thompson, NASA's first female launch director. Now, Charlie, can you tell us a little bit more about what a launch director does?
Absolutely. The launch director's job during the planning phase is to ensure that you have everything in place that you need to safely and successfully launch the Artemis missions. That includes things like your requirements are set, your launch commit criteria are understood, your procedures are ready to go, and your team is trained. The folks that sit in this room on launch day, they have a tough job, and that's to determine if the flight and the ground systems are go or no go. And I depend on them to make those calls on launch day.
Yeah, makes sense.
Ladies and gentlemen, just to give you an idea of how large the Vehicle Assembly Building is, it sits on roughly 8 acres of land. Can you guys be quiet down there, because some people do want to hear me? Thank you. If you look at this small Excuse me back there, can you quiet down, please? This small white building here on, I guess I can't. Excuse me, can you keep it down back there, please? Thank you. This small white building on the left here, some of them say that's the most important building out here. That's the cafeteria. They have a saying out here, no lunch, no launch. The white building coming off to the right there of the vehicle assembly building is the launch control center. Them dark tinted windows are just on the other side facing the launch pads. You're going to see these three cube-shaped buildings in front of us. Them are the orbiter processing facilities. That's where they stored and repaired the orbiters. Boeing now uses the one with the mural on it for that Starliner project that they launched about 6 or 7 months ago. We have 2 crawler transporters. One is on the other side of the vehicle assembly building right now. They're using it because they're assembling Artemis 2 in there. The other one will be just up the road a little bit. Once we get up there, I will point it out to you. Each crawler has 8 tracks on them. Each track has 57 cleats, and each cleat weighs 1 ton. They were built in 1965 by a company called Marion Power Shovel Company. Here's a little gator down there. Well, he was down in that ditch, but maybe another one up here. But they were built in 1965 by a company called Marion Power Shovel Company out of Marion, Ohio. And back then, it cost $1 per pound to build them, and each one of them weighs 6 million pounds. Right there on the right is my little faithful gator. That's just a baby down there in the ditch on the grass. They expect to get another 30 years out of them crawlers. And back then, it cost $1 per pound to build them, and each one of them weighs 6 million pounds. But here on the right, just behind these smaller white buildings, you're gonna see that crawler. Just to the left of that crawler, you're gonna see a platform up on pedestals. They are building a new mobile launcher. So once they get the tower on that platform, that crawler will go up underneath the platform, pick it up, take it inside the vehicle assembly building, assemble the rocket to it, then they'll take it out to the launch pad. It's a trip of about 4.5 miles. It'll take them over 8 hours to get that rocket out there. The crawler's top speed with a rocket on it is a 0.5 mile an hour, and they get 32 feet to the gallon of diesel fuel. Right here on the right, you'll see that crawler. Just to the left of that mobile launcher platform. Just behind that platform, you'll see the tower they're building. Right now, they've only got 2 stacks on that tower. When they're done, it'll be 9 stacks high, and that will go on that platform.
But why some say the moon? Why choose this as our
There he
goal?
is. Right there.
And they may well ask, why climb the highest
Down
mountain?
in the ditches.
Why 35 years ago? Why the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
When President John F. Kennedy made this speech in 1962, he set in motion an era of discovery that would change humankind forever. 7 years after he spoke these ambitious words, the world watched as Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first people to walk on the moon. The achievements of the men and women who worked on the space program in these early decades of NASA helped propel the technology we use every day. NASA and the thriving private space industry at Kennedy Space Center today are the living legacy of their story. As we arrive at the Apollo Saturn V Center to learn more about that historic era, get ready to step back into a time when NASA had everything to prove to a nation focused on one goal: to be the first country to land a person on the moon.
Please check around your seat to make sure you have all of your belongings before departing the bus. Wait at the metal doors to enter the Apollo Saturn V Center, and a new show will begin every 10 minutes. Stay and explore as long as you like, and simply exit through the Right Stuff gift shop to board a bus back to the district complex. About a 15-minute ride with buses departing frequently.
It's almost like I want a t-shirt that says that.
Okay, you're gonna look straight across the water in front of us, and you're gonna see the black tower with the lightning rod on it.
Yeah.
That is launch pad 39A. That's where SpaceX launches some of the Falcon 9 rockets, but all of the Falcon Heavy rockets from. And then just to the left of that, as we turn here, you're gonna see the 3 towers. That's launch pad 39B. That's where NASA launched Artemis 1 from. And hopefully next year we'll launch Artemis 2 with the crew on it to orbit the moon. Once I drop you off up here, you're going to enter through the silver doors. They have a pre-show for you to watch in there. Then you can go inside and explore Apollo Saturn V. When you're ready to come back to the visitor complex, they have conveniently located you a gift shop down at the other end of the building. You'll come out through that gift shop and it'll bring you back down to the other end to board any bus back. You guys will come right back over here. There's a curved walkway.
Yep.
And get with one of these guys in the blue shirts or women.
They'll see me and then they'll direct me.
Yep, and they'll get a bus for you.
Plus they want you to spend money.